The worst federal judge in America now has a name. Congratulations are in order for Judge Matthew Kacsmaryk. The competition is fierce and will remain so, but for now he holds the title, worst federal judge in America. Not simply for the poor quality of his judicial reasoning, although more, much more, on this in a bit. What really distinguishes Kacsmaryk is the loaded content of his rhetoric, not the language of a sober-minded, impartial jurist but of a zealot, committed more to promoting a cause than applying the law. Kacsmaryk is the Texas-based judge hand-picked by anti-abortion advocates. He is the sole jurist who sits in the Amarillo Division of the Northern District of Texas, to hear their challenge to the legality of abortion medication. And so he did, ruling exactly as expected. In an opinion released Friday, Kacsmaryk invalidated the Food and Drug Administration's 23-year-old approval of the abortion drug mifepristone and, for good measure, found that abortion medications cannot be sent by mail or other delivery service under the terms of an 1873 anti-vice law. Even in states where abortion remains legal. Even though study after study has shown the drug to be safe and effective, far safer, for instance, than over-the-counter Tylenol. Even though, or perhaps precisely because, more than half of abortions in the United States today are performed with abortion medication. My fury here is not because I fear that Kacsmaryk's ruling will stand. I don't think it will, not even with this Supreme Court. Indeed, another federal district judge, just hours after Kacsmaryk's Good Friday ruling, issued a competing order, instructing the FDA to maintain the existing rules making mifepristone available. Even Kacsmaryk put his ruling on hold for a week. The Justice Department has already filed a notice of appeal, and the dispute is hurtling its way to the Supreme Court. Nice work getting yourselves out of the business of deciding abortion cases, Your Honors. No, my beef is with ideologues in robes. That Kacsmaryk fits the description is no surprise. Before being nominated to the federal bench by President Donald Trump in 2017, Kacsmaryk served as Deputy General Counsel at the conservative First Liberty Institute. He argued against same-sex marriage, civil rights protections for gay and transgender individuals, the contraceptive mandate and, of course, Roe v. Wade. At his confirmation hearings, Kacsmaryk testified that federal judges are bound to read the law as it is written and not read into it any policy preference that they might have had before they were judges. So, let's look what he did Friday. Given the nationwide attention to the case, you might have thought that Kacsmaryk would have taken pains to appear as judicious as possible. But no, a dozen sentences into the opinion, his personal views about abortion become unmistakable. Mifepristone, Kacsmaryk writes, is a synthetic steroid that blocks the hormone progesterone, halts nutrition, and ultimately starves the unborn human until death. He then drops a footnote defending this inflammatory word choice as necessary for scientific accuracy. Jurists often use the word fetus to inaccurately identify unborn humans in unscientific ways. The word fetus refers to a specific gestational stage of development, as opposed to the zygote, blastocyst, or embryo stages. Because other jurists use the terms unborn human or unborn child interchangeably, and because both terms are inclusive of the multiple gestational stages relevant to the FDA approval. This court uses unborn human or unborn child terminology throughout this order, as appropriate. Not appropriate, not even close. Unborn human and unborn child are loaded terms, and Kacsmaryk goes on to use those phrases multiple times, as in, the unborn humans extinguished by mifepristone and expelling the aborted human. This does not demonstrate the judge's scientific bona fides, it reveals his bias. Even the majority in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, other jurists who are Kacsmaryk's actual superiors, understood this. The Dobbs opinion opens with the recognition that some believe fervently that a human person comes into being at conception and that abortion ends an innocent life, while others feel just as strongly that any regulation of abortion invades a woman's right to control her own body and prevents women from achieving full equality. Somehow, fetus was an accurate enough term for them. But Kacsmaryk is more advocate than judge. His second footnote launches into supposed ties between abortion rights advocates and the eugenics movement. He describes physicians who perform that procedure with the label, abortionist, as in this doozy of a sentence: unlike abortionists suing on behalf of women seeking abortions, here there are no potential conflicts of interest between the plaintiff physicians and their patients. He veers out of his way to raise, sympathetically, the tangential question of fetal personhood, the argument that the Constitution protects fetal life from the moment of conception and therefore precludes states from allowing abortion. This man really can't help himself. He is a true believer, miscast in a judicial role. Kacsmaryk's legal reasoning is as irresponsible as his rhetoric. He breezes past every barrier to getting to the merits of the case. The physicians group concocted to bring the lawsuit has standing, because they allege adverse events from chemical abortion drugs can overwhelm the medical system and place enormous pressure and stress on doctors during emergencies and complications. There is no such evidence. He cites, as supposedly objective sources, studies conducted by anti-abortion activists, to support his belief that women who have aborted a child, especially through chemical abortion drugs that necessitate the woman seeing her aborted child once it passes, often experience shame, regret, anxiety, depression, drug abuse, and suicidal thoughts because of the abortion. The evidence for this claim? A study by David C. Reardon, an associate scholar with the Charlotte Lozier Institute, which says it advises and leads the pro-life movement with groundbreaking scientific, statistical, and medical research. I could keep going, but you get the point. This is a judge who knows what conclusion he wants to reach and is going to do what he must to get there. Facts, fairness, and law be damned. The worst federal judge in America now has a name. Congratulations are in order for Judge Matthew Kacsmaryk. The competition is fierce and will remain so, but for now he holds the title, worst federal judge in America. Not simply for the poor quality of his judicial reasoning, although more, much more, on this in a bit. What really distinguishes Kacsmaryk is the loaded content of his rhetoric, not the language of a